Test 6, Part 1, Passage 3. Listen to part of a talk in a geology class.
Well, I guess we should get started. Before we get too far, though, let me ask you a question. What's the difference between magma and lava?
They're both associated with volcanoes, right?
That's true, but you haven't really answered my question. Anyone else?
I know lava is the molten rock that, spews out of a volcano. Is magma a gas?
No, magma isn't a gas. This information is in the chapter I assigned last week. Did anyone actually read it? I guess not. I think I may have to schedule a test on this material, so everyone better pay close attention to the lecture today. Magma and lava are both molten rock. In fact, there are no physical differences between the two substances. However, magma is the term used to describe the molten material that is found underground, usually in the magma chamber of an active volcano. Lava, on the other hand, is what this same material is called once it's ejected to the surface during a volcanic eruption. As I am sure you all know, a volcano is simply an opening in the surface of the planet that allows molten rock and gases to escape, what is known as an eruption. This process tends to follow a cyclic pattern. The gradual increase in molten rock and gas in the magma chamber leads to a rise in pressure until it reaches the point of eruption. Once an eruption has occurred, the magma chamber will again begin to fill. The lava that is ejected from the volcano usually solidifies fairly quickly. As successive layers of lava cover the surrounding area, they create a distinctive mountain-shaped formations that are associated with volcanoes. However, the intensity of the eruption and the composition of the lava determine the type of formation. There are, in fact, several different types of volcanoes. Today, we are going to discuss shield and stratovolcanoes, two of the most common types. Now, let's look at some of the key characteristics of a shield volcano. I guess the most obvious indicator of the nature of this type of volcano is its name. If you'll look at this slide, you can see that a shield volcano actually does resemble a giant shield lying on the surface of the planet. These large, dome-shaped mountains are composed of basalt, and their distinctive shape is the result of their unique pattern of eruption. Shield volcanoes do not usually have explosive eruptions. Instead, the lava tends to flow slowly in all directions from the central vents. The basalt lava is very liquid, so it can travel quite far before it cools. As a result, the slopes of this type of volcano tend not to be very steep. They rarely exceed 6 or 7 degrees. While small shield volcanoes form very quickly following a period of almost continuous eruptions, the larger ones take much longer, in some cases over a period of millions of years. Regardless of size, shield volcanoes erupt very frequently, usually once every 2 or 3 years. The Hawaiian volcano Mauna Loa is a typical shield volcano. However, if you look at this picture, you can see that the angle of its slope is not very steep, even for a shield volcano. This is because there are a series of secondary vents that surround the summit. They release lava during an eruption in conjunction with the central vent, allowing the lava to travel much further than usual. Mauna Loa is the largest volcano on the planet. Its summit is around 17 kilometers above its base on the seabed. All of the Hawaiian Islands were created as a result of volcanic activities such as this. In fact, there are over 17 active and inactive shield volcanoes in the region. As with all areas that have shield volcanoes, Hawaii is situated over a hotspot, a section of the Earth's crust that is thin enough to allow magma to escape. This has made the Hawaiian Islands a popular research destination for volcanologists. Well, that and the fact that these gentle eruptions don't pose much of a threat to those observing them. This isn't true of stratovolcanoes, which make up the largest percentage of the Earth's volcanoes. Stratovolcanoes are characterized by eruptions of andesite and dacite lava. This is much cooler and viscous than the basalt lava of shield volcanoes. As a result, the magma of stratovolcanoes will usually clog up the central vent, It kind of acts like a plug in a bottle of champagne. This means that a stratovolcano will go much longer between eruptions, with a corresponding increase in pressure. Most stratovolcanoes erupt about once every 35 to 45 years. Of course it varies from volcano to volcano. Anyway, when this type of volcano does erupt, it is very explosive. Can anyone think of an example of this type of eruption?
Yeah, Mount St. Helens, right?
Exactly. And the devastation caused by this eruption is characteristic of a stratovolcano. Now, as with shield volcanoes, the manner of eruption is responsible for the stratovolcano's distinctive shape. As the lava and volcanic ash burst from the central vent, it will usually fall back on the summit of the volcano. As a result, stratovolcanoes are very steep and usually have a conical shape. Actually, this is the type of volcano most people are familiar with. Stratovolcanoes are commonly found along subduction zones. These are areas where two tectonic plates meet. For example, the Mediterranean is a region that includes many stratovolcanoes because the African and Eurasian plates connect at this point.
Now get ready to answer the questions. You may use your notes to help you answer. 12. What is the main topic of the lecture? Listen again to a part of the lecture, then answer the question.
Well, I guess we should get started. Before we get too far, though, let me ask you a question. What's the difference between magma and lava?
They're both associated with volcanoes, right?
That's true, but you haven't really answered my question. Anyone else?
13. Why does the professor say this?
That's true, but you haven't really answered my question.
Fourteen. According to the professor, what distinguishes lava from magma? Fifteen. The professor identifies several characteristics of shield and stratovolcanoes. Indicate whether each is a characteristic of a shield or stratovolcano. Sixteen. What can be inferred about stratovolcanoes? 17. Why does the professor mention the Mediterranean region?
Test 6, Part 2, Passage 1. Listen to a conversation between a student and a professor. Hi, Professor Smith. Are you busy right now?
Oh, hi, James. Just give me a second. Okay, what can I do for you?
I was wondering if I could talk to you about my anthropology paper. You know, the one you assigned on ancient civilizations?
Sure, go right ahead.
Well, I chose to write about an aspect of the Harappan civilization, but now I'm thinking of changing it to some other topic because I'm having trouble finding sources.
Okay. Just how did your research go? Can you tell me exactly what happened?
I was going to write about the Harappan writing system. I found it intriguing because the traditional belief is that the Harappan civilization was literate. Archaeologists discovered clay seals with thousands of symbols. The interesting part is that scholars haven't been able to decipher those symbols.
That's an excellent topic. I'm familiar with it. And you're having trouble finding sources?
Yes. Since the decoding process is ongoing, and there hasn't actually been much progress, there isn't very much material. I did find a paper, one that says that a literate Harappan civilization is a myth, that the symbols are non-linguistic. The researcher argues that the symbols have other purposes, but they aren't for communicating meaning. So I thought, oh well, there goes the writing system theory. But then I found another paper that defends Harappan literacy. The researcher has a counter-argument for each point discussed in the first paper, so there's disagreement with how the symbols were used. And if I base my paper on theories alone, it's not going to be much of a paper. And that's all I found so far.
I realize it's not easy to find information on the subject, but I still think it would make for a very interesting read. I do hope you'll stay with it. What topic were you thinking of changing it to?
I thought that maybe I could write about their architecture instead. There's a lot of material on it, and I found the descriptions of the engineering engrossing. The Harappan people were definitely intelligent, and they had advanced ideas. You can see how systematic and precise their structural plans were. And the history of how the archaeologists excavated the site is just as fascinating. Don't you think this topic would be as interesting and challenging as the Harappan writing system?
I'd say that Harappan architecture is indeed a fine topic, and for sure you won't have a problem finding sources.
Yeah, it seems just as fun to write about as Harappan literacy, and I won't run into a brick wall with the research.
I hear what you're saying. The thing is, almost every semester I get papers from 2 or 3 students about Harappan architecture. There certainly isn't a dearth of materials on the topic, but I always encourage students to go out on a limb and let their curiosity guide them.
I get it. But like I said, there isn't much I could find about literacy except that people are still doing the research.
Well, there's nothing wrong with discussing existing research even if it isn't conclusive. Have you tried looking in anthropology journals? You might find articles that present the research in a more objective light.
I tried that already. That's where I found the conflicting research I mentioned earlier. I think it may be a lost cause.
I wouldn't go that far. Research doesn't always produce results right away. It's the thrill of the discovery, right? If you follow your passion, your paper will be so much better.
I just wish I had more time. The deadline is coming up soon.
I definitely wouldn't want you to be late handing in your assignment, but I'm all for your writing a paper on the Harappan writing system when I contact the archaeology department. I'm certain that they're up to date with the research. I'll pass on anything they can give me. If the department chairman is free, I could even arrange for you to meet with him and get his insights on the topic.
Okay, thanks. I'll have to think about it, though. I feel like I might be on a wild goose chase, and I'm not sure I have time for that. I'll look into it and let you know what happens before the end of the week. Now get ready to answer the questions. You may use your notes to help you answer. 1. What is the student's main problem? 2. What does the student say about the Harappan writing system? Three. According to the conversation, what aspects of Harappan architecture does the student want to consider in his paper? Listen again to part of the conversation, then answer the question.
Have you tried looking in anthropology journals? You might find articles that present the research in a more objective light.
I tried that already. That's where I found the conflicting research I mentioned earlier. I think it may be a lost cause.
I wouldn't go that far. Research doesn't always produce results right away. It's the thrill of the discovery, right? If you follow your passion, your paper will be so much better.
4. Why does the professor say this?
I wouldn't go that far.
Five. What does the professor offer to do for the student?